all of a sudden, it's night. I cannot see. We're on the freeway. And I cannot see, you guys. Over to the left-hand side. That's what you want to focus on. There's going to be a blue light there. Just focus on that blue light. Good. Stay right there. Same thing on the other eye. You can keep both eyes open. You just look straight ahead. This one you're going to see off to the right-hand side. Lights. Look right at the... Can you look right at the blue light? DHB.
And how about there?
Oh.
Look at the first one.
Okay.
Go ahead and look up for me. Okay, so this one might sting a little. There you go. It's just a numbing drop to be comfortable.
Okay.
And then we have the next one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it stings. Okay, and then we have one more.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
Perfect. All right. That's the last one.
Okay. Okay, let me try to get that without hitting you, okay? Wait, you guys don't do it with the airdrop? So at this point, she was just checking my vision, my color vision, and that was fine. Passed it with flying colors. And then the ophthalmologist came in. She wouldn't let me record, but she looked at my eyes through the slit lamp, which is this right here, and everything was normal. Okay, so when you have your eyes dilated, you everything's blurry, especially in the light. So that's why they have you wear your sunglasses, and if you don't bring sunglasses or you just wear reading glasses, they give you these things to put in your glasses to make it dark so that you won't be blurry. I cannot drive, obviously, because it's daylight and eyes are blurry, so he's so cute. Say hi, KJ.
Why too so long?
Say hi to the people.
Why too so long?
Because
What you got the glasses on? She faking. You can see fine.
no, it's not that I can't see, it's that everything's blurry because they dilate your eyes. See. So yeah. Can we get food?
I was gonna say the same thing. Right?
You guys, they said that the dilation will wear off anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. Last time I had my eyes dilated, that was probably like about 2 years ago. I was good in like 30, 45 minutes. The time before that, I don't remember ever just like being like this all day. Like by the time we got in the car and got to the next destination, I was fine. But this time, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I'm nauseous. I don't feel good. And I also feel, well, I'm probably like that because I haven't eaten anything all day. But I also feel like it's worse. The dilation is like times 10 and it's lasting a really long time. So we decided to get Habit Burger. We're like 10 minutes away from it, from where the eye doctor was. And I literally ordered it on the way up here while my son was driving. And we like got here just before we pulled in, and they texted me saying it was ready. Caesar salad for me. Cheeseburger for son. And french fries. A chicken Caesar salad, and I added jalapeno to my salad because I needed some more flavor, y'all. So I want to start by saying was inspired by a channel called Migraine Mommy. And honestly, I don't even know how she and why she came up in my recommended, other than Google is definitely spying on me, because she has a channel dedicated to like her journey, migraines, headaches, and her ultimate diagnosis of intracranial hypertension. And anyways, came up in my recommended. It must have been God's plan, because I clicked on her video and started watching it. And basically, what, to synopsisize her video, she struggled with being sick, having headaches, having all the symptoms, or some classic signs and symptoms of intracranial hypertension for years. Too many years. And I was flabbergasted, because I was diagnosed about 17, 18 years ago. And 17, 18 years ago, nobody knew anything. There was no, well, maybe there was YouTube. I don't even remember. Place like the internet that you could go and like research, and no doctor knew anything about this or that, or what caused it, or why you had it, or what made it better. Like it was a lot of guessing going on. I don't remember, you guys, but I stumbled across a group, and I believe it was on Facebook, like back in when Facebook first came about, or I don't remember. And it was at the time when I was diagnosed, it was called Pseudotumor Cerebri. Pseudotumor Cerebri. And there was a group on Facebook called Survivors of Pseudotumor Cerebri, and I happened to find them. I don't remember how, but I would follow along with them, because I was just like, it was interesting to see other people who finally knew what I was going through and were able to identify like how I felt. But about, I don't know, 3-4 years into it, I stopped following that group, because there were a lot of people in that group having multiple brain surgeries, and like just suffering from chronic pain, and like their lives were diminishing, and it was just so sad to me. It was tearing me apart. So I left the group, and I had to do it for my own mental sanity, because it was tearing me apart. So I say that to say, I haven't been keeping up with, over the last 17 years, I haven't been, or maybe 15 years now, I haven't been keeping up with what's been going on in the movement, how it's progressed, or lack thereof. After I went to her page and I heard her story, I started going through the comments. Oh my God. And I was like, wow, how could we still be so far behind 17 years later? I was just, oh, my heart. And so I was like, okay. I started like responding to some of the people in the comments, like listing all of my symptoms, letting them know what worked, what didn't work, how I ended up eventually being diagnosed, keywords, what to look for. All of my experiences, I was able to like help people in that, in the comment section. And even Migraine Mommy herself said, oh wow, like that's a lot of information. Like, you know, she was so grateful. And yeah, I'm grateful for her too, for sharing her story. And like, I'm grateful that I was able to see it. And like, but I am kind of disappointed that we're still here. Like, it's crazy. Just like tell my story about pseudotumor. Pseudotumor cerebri is, pseudo is a medical term, is medical terminology for fake or mimic. Tumor is a mass. It could be a mass anywhere in your body, basically. And cerebri is brain, or neuro, or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm brain fart. So, or cerebri. So basically what happened to me was along 17, 8, probably more like 19, maybe 18 and a half years ago. I was young girl. I'm not going to tell you how young I was, but I was young. And I started like having these headaches that were like nothing I've ever experienced before. It was literally like they felt, and all I kept saying was, and who knows why I knew this, but I would tell my parents, it feels like when I wrap a rubber band around my finger and I leave it there and I start to lose circulation. That's what it feels like in my head. But I mean, I was a young girl, but I was grown. But my health plan was still like with my parents. So my dad was like, you need to go see a doctor. And kept telling me that for months. Finally, I'll never forget, it was a Sunday morning. And I was, I had a headache out of this world. It was crazy. I couldn't take it no more. They took me to emergency. And I remember the emergency doctor there was like, we're going to give you a spinal tap. Because I didn't have a history of migraines. I didn't have a history of having headaches. Like, this headache was persistent, but this was like the worst headache of my life. So he said he was going to give me a spinal tap. Well, he did the spinal tap, and at the time he did the spinal tap with me laying flat. Imitrex, and it was still brand name. And there was like a whole ta-da over that because it was a brand name, and the insurance company didn't cover it, and they had to figure out how they were going to get me this medication. So fast forward to about a week and a half later, I go to work, and I get off work, and I decide I'm going to go do a little shopping. So I went to the mall, and I was at the mall in the store. I remember standing in line with my items, and the next thing I know, there was the chief of the fire department, chief of San Francisco Fire Department. He was looking in my face. I was on the floor, and he was like, you're going to the hospital. And I was like, no, I don't need to go to the hospital. I feel okay. I don't know what happened. I haven't eaten anything all day. And he was like, young lady, you're going to the hospital. Is there anybody I could call for you? And I was like, and it was like, he was like a dapper. I was like, okay. So at the time, like, my parents lived so far away. Like, they lived like an hour and a half away from the city. And my mom had a friend who still lived in the city at the time. So I called my mom, and she was like, I'm going to call my friend, since she's right there, and see if she can be with you until we're able to get out there. My mom's friend, she did. She came. She sat with me in the hospital while they were running all these tests. And are you pregnant? Everything is, are you pregnant? No. Are you pregnant? How long have you been feeling like this? No. Okay. By this point, I've been living with a headache and having them worse headaches a couple days out the week. And so once again, I'm in the ER. They're like, well, we know we did your spinal tap last week you were here. That came back fine. Your vitals are fine. We understand that you fainted, but like, we can't find anything wrong with you. So they sent me on my way. Over the course of probably the next 4 weeks, it got worse. The headaches got worse. I didn't faint anymore. I didn't get dizzy, and I wasn't nauseous. But in between this time, I had been to my primary care, and she kept saying I had migraine. Like, they would experience nausea. They would experience vomiting, the light. They were sensitive to light. Like, I never had any of those symptoms. And by this time now, anytime I coughed or anytime I went from sitting to standing, I would get woozy, like whoosh. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing swoosh, swoosh, swoosh in my ear. Anytime I would go from sitting to standing, I would hear swooshing in my ear. Anytime I would get in and out the car, swooshing in my ear. Anytime I would be asleep and then I would get up, swooshing in my ear. anytime I would change positions drastically, I would get a little like dizzy, and that headache would go whoop to my head, and it would just feel like squeezing, so much squeezing in my head. I went on about my daily routine and just was fighting through it. I've been known to fight through some stuff. I like to go out and party Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So this particular night, now mind you, my friend, she does not drive at all. We drive and we make it to wherever we going. No, we're on our way to a party. Like, I literally lost vision. And when I tell you I lost vision, it wasn't like it was blurry. It wasn't like it was you know, just a little bit, or I couldn't see color. It was white fuzz. It looked to me as if somebody had put a sheer curtain over in front of my eyes and told me to drive. So I was able to pull over, and we were like stuck on the middle of the, like on the off side of the freeway. And I was like, you're gonna have to drive. And this is young and just, you know, being foolish, but we was going to that party. So I literally taught her how to drive that night on the freeway. How dangerous is that? And I couldn't see. Yeah, that actually happened. So my friend learned how to drive that night. We ended up going to the party, and like by the time we had got like to where we were going, that kind of like stuff was blurry, but it wasn't like I could actually see. I think we ended up like staying over in the city that night so that I didn't have to drive back late and have that happen again. So this must have been like a Saturday or Sunday night, because Monday I called my primary and I told her what happened. And she was like, okay, I'm going to get you in with the ophthalmologist. Like, this is not normal. Like, so finally I get an appointment with the ophthalmologist. I go in, and this is probably, now we probably at like a year or so into this whole thing that's going on with me. And I'm thinking, he gonna give me some glasses and send me on my way. Like, well, I don't even know why. I think I had like took half a day off from work. I was mad. Like, here we go again, another appointment for nothing, you know. They do the standard eye test with the thing, and I'm fine. I can see the letters down to the little bitty ones. I can see in the dark. Everything is fine. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna look at your optic nerve, because I told him what had happened with me driving, how I've been having these squeezy headaches. I'm gonna look at your optic nerve. And when he turned off the light, he had a little like device, and I put my head in the slit. I think it's called the slit something, whatever that thing is. You put your head in and you look into it. And he was looking back at me with his little device. And you guys, it felt like he looked in one eye. It felt like eternity. He turned the light on. He was contemplating. He turned the light off. He came back right back to this eye, my right eye. And he looked. Then he went to the left eye and he looked. I'm talking about, it felt like an hour. And I'd had eye exams before. Nothing like this had ever happened before. And he said, you're able to see right now? I said, yeah. So he started checking my peripheral vision. He started like doing all these tests to where like I had to look all the way left and follow my finger and look up. And at this point, I'm like, something is wrong, because I had took an EMT course. And so I knew he was giving me a neural test. And so I'm like, why is the eye doctor giving me a neural test in the middle of like a routine eye exam? In my mind, I was like, something is not right. Finished the neural test. He said, I believe you have a condition called pseudotumor. And this was the first time I'd ever heard those words. And he said, your optic nerve is swollen. He said, I've been doing this for 30 years and I have never, ever, ever seen a nerve that inflamed in both eyes at the same time, and the patient can see and pass a neural test. He said, I'm going to refer you to neurology. I'm going to start you on a medication. And that medication, you guys, was Diamox. It is the brand name for acetazolamide. And I believe at the time, Diamox hadn't made it out generic yet. So here it's another brand name medication. I don't know if it was new, it may have been new to my like my plan or whatever, but there was some hoops I had to jump through to get that. I got the medication. I started taking it right away because I was like, at this point, help me, you know. Taking the medication, and by the time I got to the neurologist, the headaches had went from like me feeling like they were the worst headaches of my life down to like maybe from a 10 to a 7. So I was able to function because I had been living on pain of 10 for so long that when they went down to a 7, it was relief to me. I was still hearing the swooshing in my ear, and I was still having the dizziness and feeling of like not being able to catch myself when I stood up. But honestly, I was feeling better. So by the time I got to the neurologist, and the neurologist looked over the note, just was like, well, I think we should do and they don't call it spinal tap. I think we should do schedule a lumbar puncture for you. And a lumbar puncture measures cerebrospinal fluid pressure. So you have, your brain is surrounded by fluid, cerebral spinal fluid. Your brain and your spine, that's all connected. So there's fluid running up and down your spine into the brain. And he wants to measure the pressure of that fluid because he suspects, since my optic nerve was so inflamed and I'm having headaches, and the ophthalmologist is calling this pseudotumor cerebri, he suspects that the fluid has got to be, the pressure of the fluid has got to be high. Now, high pressure equals extra cerebrospinal fluid, meaning you have too much fluid in your brain space. Normally you make cerebrospinal fluid and it's exerted through whatever it is, just daily life, such as like sweating, pooping, crying, tears, spit, whatever. Your body is exerting and using up just as much as it's making. But my body wasn't exerting it properly, or I was making more than I was exerting for some reason. So, had the ER doctor in the beginning of this whole situation been knowledgeable, asked somebody, read a book, whatever the case may be, had he done his test, his spinal tap correct, because he suspected it was a neural issue that had to do with the spinal fluid. He just didn't know how to perform the test to get the answers that he needed. I don't know. But the neurologist, maybe that ER doctor, he should have consulted neurology. I don't know. But the neurology doctor that did my first lumbar puncture told me, he said, it was a he? I believe it was a man. He said, we have to do this test with you sitting up because that is how you get the true pressure of cerebrospinal fluid. If we do it laying down, laying flat, that's not a true indicator of the pressure. I think the normal pressure is anywhere between, let's just say, because I don't want to start throwing numbers out there that aren't true. Let's just say the normal pressure is a 30. Okay, like anywhere from because there's always ranges in medicine. So let's say like normal cerebrospinal fluid pressure is, for the sake of the video, again, I'm throwing these numbers out there because I don't know. Let's say there's a range from 10 to 30. That's a normal pressure of cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, my pressure was like a 60 at the time of that test. That means that at some point, my pressure was probably up into the hundreds. Anytime you lose your sight, because the pressure is there's so much fluid and there's so much pressure in your brain that your optic nerves are now affected. So they formulated a plan, the neurologist, the ophthalmologist, and my primary, they said, oh God, we finally know what's going on with this girl. And the neurologist told me that this is normally seen in people who are overweight. I think I may have been like 120 pounds, 5'4". That's probably why it kept getting ruled out. But with the type of headaches that I was having, with the optic nerve swelling, and with the pressure, they were able to use those 3 things to diagnose pseudotumor. Ophthalmologist told me anytime throughout the rest of your life, because this is something, it doesn't go away. It's treatable, it's manageable, but it does not go away. Anytime during your pseudotumor diagnosis journey, you have an inkling that something's going on, you get your eyes checked. Now, to me, that's a doctor. That is a doctor that is advocating for his patients. That is a doctor who cares. That is a doctor who was knowledgeable enough and not cocky to say, this is what I see, this is what I'm thinking. Let's bring other people in and ask other people who may know questions about this, because I don't know everything just because I'm a doctor. And I appreciate him, and I saw him up until the time I think I got pregnant. So I just thank God for him, because why did it take me losing my eyesight? And, you know, and it humbled me, because when I was in that group that I talked about in the beginning, there were people who were losing their eyesight and didn't know what to do. Their doctors couldn't help them. Like, I went a year like this. The damage that could have been of me, like, it's I just thank God. Like, I'm very blessed. Headache, loss of vision, loss in peripheral vision. It was more than just a headache, though. It felt like pressurized pain. It happened when I would go from sitting to standing, or from laying down to sitting up. It happened whenever I would be sitting somewhere for longer than 10 or 15 minutes and I would get up. It was like whoosh, swishy in the ear. Sometimes it was ringing in the ears, both ears. Sometimes my eyes would be a little lower than normal. Difficulty concentrating. Dizzy, too much. Dizzy for no reason. It literally felt like my head was going to explode when I was having those headaches. Now, I always had a headache, a baseline headache, but the pseudotumor cerebri headache was like intermittent, and it would come on like boom, and it would be like, and it felt like you were losing blood to that area. It felt constricting, very constricting. And I'm pretty sure there's more, but that's all I can remember from that time. Since that diagnosis, I have probably had 3 or 4 lumbar punctures. And I have to have an eye exam at least, if not once every year, every 2 years. I have been on Diamox for 17 years. So what helped me was Diamox, exercise, and pregnancy. I've tried Imitrex, I have tried Topamax, I have tried different versions of Topamax, I have tried gabapentin. I have been on any kind of headache medicine that you could think of. I just can't think of any right now. But the one that, for me, that was truly like the medication that gave me my life back was Diamox. Whenever I'm feeling like, because now I know what I'm dealing with. So whenever I'm feeling like that headache coming on, I'll go back and get my medication. I'll go back to my medication. And whenever like my vision is blurry, or I've gotten to the point where something is not right with my eyes, I'm in the doctor like, hey, ophthalmologist, help me out. I keep a neurologist just as part of my care plan, because like they said, like, this is a diagnosis that you just learn to live with and manage it. So over the years, I've had different health plans, and whenever I switch, I make sure to get a neurologist on, catch them up, ask them what's going on. And sometimes, you guys, you have to advocate for yourself, because I have had doctors tell me something, and I'm like, no, look, I've been here 100 years. This is what it's like. This is what's happening. This is what I need. This is what worked last time. Call whoever you need to call. Do whatever you need to do. I know. You know what I'm saying? Because when you know, you just know. Now, I just found out that the name is changed. It's not Pseudotumor Cerebri. It's intracranial IIH. Intracranial something hypertension. Apparently, there's a really good doctor that specializes in treating it in, I think, Florida. But if you get a good neurologist that does not pretend to know everything, and, you know, will reach out and consult other people, and you have these symptoms, then I think you'll be okay. Now, my neurologist told me, the eye doctor, that first eye doctor, he said, the eyes is going to tell it all. Get your eyes checked. If you suspect that you may be experiencing this, get a referral to an ophthalmologist. Now, today I just had to go have my eyes dilated for a whole nother reason. Like, I got a concussion, and my neurologist, this is a good doctor to me. I had a head injury a couple weeks ago, and I'm having headaches. They're not pseudotumor headaches. They're concussion headaches. But because I'm having these headaches, my neurologist said, see, I'm going to send you to ophthalmology, because we just want to make sure. She wants to preserve my eyesight. Thank you, Dr. Bakshi. That's why I had to go in today to have my eyes checked. And when I was sitting there having my eyes checked, they had to dilate my eyes just so they had to open the pupil so they could look in and see the nerve. So if they don't dilate your eyes, they can't look at the optic nerve, because it's way back there, and that your pupil has to be open in order for them to see it clearly. Getting the eye exam, I started thinking about everything that I had been through on this journey, and like why I was there and everything. And I was like, I think I'm gonna film this video. Migraine mommy video had been on my mind for the past week now. If anyone has any questions or, you know, comments or whatever, if you have a story to share with IIH or Pseudotumor Cerebri, please comment below. If you found value in the video, like it, please. And thank you guys so much for listening. Get it right.